Well, we're moving on now. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up.
Okay, so yesterday, y'all, we took you guys through a lot of Jefferson. I call it Part 2A. We're going to look at what I'll call Part 2B today and hopefully be able to get through this. I'm going to be giving you some more information probably than you would need to know for the AP test, but I do feel sometimes that there are some great stories in American history that students need to know and hopefully make history just a little bit more interesting for y'all. I'm going to talk about Aaron Burr, or I like to call him Aaron Burrhead, and his role. You guys remember that Aaron Burr had gotten elected as vice president. He tied Jefferson in 1800, but Alexander Hamilton had intervened, knowing that Burr was basically bad news and had kept Aaron Burr from getting the presidency. Instead, Aaron Burr had to settle for the vice presidency, which had been the original plan all the way. Now, like I said, I call him Burrhead, and my dad back in the day, for whatever reason, when he would be slightly kind of mad at me or upset, not real mad, but, you know, just disappointed, somebody like call me Burrhead, like, hey, Burrhead, what are you doing? Burrhead, come here. So I like to think of Aaron Burr as Aaron Burrhead, because he did do some pretty stupid bonehead stuff. Now, there had been something called the Essex Junto. This was a plan that the Federalists had made to try to take New York and New England away from the United States, to actually secede. Now, this is 60 years, y'all, before the Civil War. And instead of the South leaving the Union, this would have been basically New York and the New England states leaving. Imagine how different history would be. Basically, y'all, it was the Federalist states. Federalist states did not like what Jefferson was doing. And as you guys may have seen in those assignments I gave you on the War of 1812, you will see Federalists yet again meet in Hartford, Connecticut, and actually discuss again leaving the Union because of their disapproval of the War of 1812. So you actually have people, y'all, disagreeing with the government enough that they felt like their only choice was to secede. Now, the Essex Junto did not work, so they began coming up with the idea of using Aaron Burr. Now, Burr was currently vice president. He was kind of finishing up his time as vice president, and they thought, since he's kind of popular, well-known, he might be a good face to this, to lead this. But first, they would have to get him elected as governor of New York State, and then he could do that. Now, Alexander Hamilton, a New Yorker himself, discovered this, and of course, these guys have some real problems anyway, going way back in the day. And so what ends up happening, Hamilton decides he's going to stop them from seceding, from leaving the Union. And of course, this is going to precipitate the famous duel that we'll talk a lot about today. So stopping Burr. Now here you see a picture of the duel. This is an old picture from 1902. I don't know how accurate it is. They look a little too close to me. But Hamilton intervenes to keep him from getting this nomination. And ultimately, Hamilton's efforts are successful. Aaron Burr is defeated for New York governor, and of course does not get to lead the secession movement. But as you guys will see, he's not quite done yet. Now, it becomes quite clear that Hamilton was behind the Stop Burr movement, right? And a series of letters are exchanged. And, you know, having read the letters, y'all, it's kind of sad because Burr writes Hamilton. They're very respectful, even though they hated each other's guts. And basically, Hamilton's kind of like, so exactly what do you think I said? And what I said, what do you think exactly that means? And they go kind of back and forth. But ultimately, Burr says, dude, if you don't take back these words, I am going to challenge you to a duel. Now, if you guys ever wanted proof that women are smarter than men, I think the dueling is a pretty good explanation, a pretty good reason to say women aren't. Women might find other ways to get back at people that they're angry with, but as far as I know, women don't go out dueling. Men, on the other hand, would actually go out and do this and sometimes kill each other in the name of their honor, right? And it was also very popular in the South. We had a president, Andrew Jackson, who killed several people in duels, but that comes later. We'll talk about that at a later point. So this is going to lead to, yes, the Burr-Hamilton or Hamilton-Burr infamous duel of 1804. Now I've got a little song for you here. Probably cut out
arrogant, immigrant, orphan, bastard, poor son, somehow endorsed Thomas Jefferson, his enemy, a man he's despised since the beginning, just to keep me from winning. I wanna be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens, the room where it happens. You've kept me from the room where it happens for the last time.
To the letter.
Dear Alexander, I am slow to anger, but I toe the line as I reckon with the effects of your life on mine. I look back on where I failed, and in every place I checked, the only common thread has been your disrespect. Now you call me immoral, a dangerous disgrace. If you've got something to say, name a time and place, face to face. I have the honor to be your obedient servant, A. Burr.
Mr. Vice President, I am not the reason no one trusts you. No one knows what you believe. I will not equivocate on my opinion. I have always worn it on my sleeve. Even if I said what you think I said, you would need to cite a more specific grievance. Here's an itemized list of 30 years of disagreements.
Sweet Jesus.
Hey, I have not been shy. I am just a guy in the public eye, trying to do my best for our republic. I don't want to fight, but I won't apologize for doing what's right. I have the honor to be your obedient servant, A. Ham.
Careful how you proceed, good man. Intemperate indeed, good man. Answer for the accusations I lay at your feet, or prepare to bleed, good man.
Burr, your grievance is legitimate. I stand by what I said, every bit of it. You stand only for yourself. It's what you do. I can't apologize because it's true.
Let's stand, Alexander. We hawking dawn, guns drawn.
You're on. I have the honor to be your obedient servant, A. Ham.
A. Burr.
So Weehawken is where they would have the duel. They would go over at dawn and have the fight. Okay. So some background to the duel. Once again, he challenges him in 1804. Why? Hamilton, as you heard in the song, refused to take back or at least to explain some of the remarks he had made about Burr. Okay, so he gets challenged, which is how people used to do it. Now, they had once been friends. You could see some of that where, he's referring to him as good man and stuff like that. They had been both very politically powerful New Yorkers, but several things had caused them to destroy that friendship. First of all, Hamilton's father-in-law had moved to New York, right? And there they ran for the Senate, or he ran for the Senate and was defeated by Burr. So Hamilton dislikes Burr for that. Hamilton intervenes on behalf of Jefferson, right? Remember in the 1800 election, it was because Hamilton trusted Jefferson to at least be patriotic, and he knew that Burr was basically a treasonous you-know-what, that he decided he'd rather have Jefferson and used his power to make Jefferson president, which meant Burr only became vice president. And then finally, of course, when Hamilton interfered with Burr getting elected for New York governor. So there's quite a few things going back, right? A lot of bad things. And if you remember in the song, basically Burr says, hey, everything bad in my life, I've checked, and it's always been you, Hamilton. You've always been there when bad stuff happened to me. And so that's what they're talking about there. Okay, so past duel experience. Hamilton had been in what they used to call interviews. Now, I've been in a lot of interviews, but fortunately, no one has ever taken a shot at me in any of those interviews. And I forgot to put the parentheses at the end there, but Hamilton had been in 10 duels. And as a result, he really kind of believed that nothing really happens in a duel. You don't get injured. I don't know if it's like this in high school or junior high for you guys when you were in junior high, but I kind of can remember when, us guys would get into an argument and you couldn't really fight at school, but we're like, I'll see you outside of school. I'll meet you in the parking lot, or we'll go somewhere. And you would show up and bring a couple of your friends, and the guy that you were going to fight would bring a couple of his friends, and you'd get there, and they might not show up. And if they didn't show up, well, you kind of won because you had the guts. And if they showed up, you might shed some other, words or say some other things to each other. But oftentimes, it didn't really end up in a fight. Usually, you just went home. And hey, sometimes you might be surprised you worked out your differences, right? And so Hamilton really kind of believed this is the way most duels were. You showed up. If it came to shooting, which he thought it rarely would, you would just both shoot into the air and nothing would happen, and you'd go home looking brave, they would go home looking brave, and everybody would feel that their honor had been satisfied. Now, and this is such a sad story, y'all. Hamilton's son, Philip, had been sent to a duel, and of course he came to his dad for some advice before a duel. And his dad said, look, son, I've been in 10 of these things, and, nothing ever happens, and you don't want to shoot somebody. You shoot somebody, your life is over, right? You don't want to do that. So my advice to you, son, just shoot your shot into the air. Well, guess what happened? Philip went to the duel. He wasted his shot. The other guy wasted Philip, and Philip died. And, of course, Hamilton felt pretty bad about that. But didn't really change his theory of dueling. Now, Burr had only been in one duel. Ironically, it was against Hamilton's brother-in-law, okay? And he'd had his button shot off. Now, if you guys were to be in a duel, let's just see how you guys would do it. I'm standing, 20, 30 yards from you. Do I stand like this and aim the gun at you? No, what would I do? Well, they kind of have you, march from this, but you do like this. Why would you present yourself this way? It's a lot easier to miss, right? And your heart maybe isn't as easily hit. So you might stand kind of like this, if possible. And it makes a smaller thing. I don't know about you, but I would really hold in that stomach as much as possible. Like, is my belly button touching my spine yet? Okay, all right. And so Burr had been standing like that, and the bullet had come so close it literally took off the button on his jacket, y'all. So I always like to play this.
Missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much. Exactly. Okay. Now, the same guns had been used in all of those duels. And here's a picture of the guns. I know I kind of obscured a little bit. Now, these are the guns that Hamilton chose for his duel with Burr. Think about it, y'all. One of those pistols had been used to kill his own son, Philip. To me, that's just awful, but that's what they chose to do. Okay? Now, so we're going to look at the duel itself. Hamilton, y'all, wrote a letter, and he basically told everybody, look, I'm going to waste my shot just like my son did. I don't want to kill Burr. I don't want to wound Burr. I'm just going to fire it into the air. Both men rode over to New Jersey, right, early in the morning. They crossed the Hudson River. They went over there, and at dawn, they prepared to fight. Now, in the video coming up, which is really rare historical footage, you guys go to sleep early at night. Mr. D stays up going through the archives to find the really, really rare historical footage. So they ride over there. Each of them has what's called a second. A second is like a really good friend, maybe somebody with dueling experience who can be there to check the gun for you and do all that. And from what I understand, if for any reason you can't do the dueling, your second takes that place. Man, that'd be a pretty good friend. Like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it today. You think you can stand in for me there, Mr. Benton? Oh, yeah, sure, okay. Now, here is the rare historical footage.
Here we are today in downtown Weehawken, New Jersey. I'm Brent Ross along with A.K. McClurg for EPSN Sports. Today, Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton will be facing off in our Sunday afternoon pistol dueling series. Quite a crowd here today. Nothing like little blood and violence to bring out the family on a Sunday afternoon. And here comes Aaron Burr. This is a big day for him. What do you say?
Oh, definitely. He's the man who placed the challenge, so his reputation's got a lot riding on him. And he's not exactly the rising star in politics anymore.
But not just his reputation.
Exactly. All of Princeton University's reputation is at stake, too. Burr's father was president of Princeton. The disgrace for Burr is just as much a disgrace for Princeton University.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, a duelist has two very, very important things to remember. First, redeem your honor. Be a gentleman. And never, ever show cowardice. The second rule, most important, do not get shot.
And there's Alex Hamilton looking good.
Well, he's on a new regimen, eating lots of venison stew, high protein, and cutting out the ales.
Well, he's got a new trainer, Pilov Vansky. They say he trained Paul Revere for his big ride against the British.
Oof. And I'll tell you, I'd be shaking in my boots right now if I was the Burr man.
Now, Burr is making his way towards the playing field. That's his behind him. Jesse Benton. Benton's a dual veteran. This is his 19th assist. He's got a mixed record. Now Hamilton takes the field. He's been involved in 12 affairs of honor with a record of 9-3.
What Burr is to Princeton, Hamilton is to Columbia.
I understand the very mention of his name is a big help to the alumni fundraising drive.
Well, that's right, Brent. I mean, this man helped write the Constitution.
And he's quite a ladies' man.
Whoa, those are just rumors. And I'd watch out if I were you, or you'll find him challenging you to a duel.
Whoa! Hey, now.
Aaron Burr shooting today for Princeton. Burr's a
You line up, you separate it.
He's ambidextrous. Hey, there's Hamilton, cherished alumnus of Columbia University. Oh, that man's got a nimble set of fingers. Okay, the referee is giving them the instruction.
I shall say present, after which you may fire. Are you ready, sir? Yes, I am. Are you ready? Yes, I am. Present!
Oh my God, he's been shot!
Of course, it's a duel.
Oh, right. A victory for Burr, then?
Look, remember, it's not about who shoots who, it's about honor.
Burr will retire to his barge while the refs make a decision, but it's not looking good for Hamilton. Either way they go, I'm sure there'll be another opportunity for Columbia to defend its honor on the battlefield. I'd like to thank my co-host, former homicidal dueler Alex Keith, A.K. McClurg.
Thank you, Brent. Pleasure to be here.
That's it from Weehawken, New Jersey. Coming up next, the International Flogging Competition. Stay tuned.
I love flogging.
You would.
Okay, so there you go. All right, so accounts vary. Hamilton was believed to have fired first and missed, although there is a theory that he shot and possibly a bullet ricocheted from a tree. There's all kinds of different stories. This was early in the morning, and of course you had Hamilton people there and Burr people, and their accounts disagree quite a bit. So did Hamilton miss on purpose? We don't know. He said he was going to. Burr, on the other hand, fired. Now, this is something kind of interesting, too, because there was a strategy in dueling that some people did. You had to have, well, let's just say guts. Because when you do the firing at the same time, you might be rushed. And your shot, you only get one shot, might miss because you're in such a rush to fire. So if you have the guts, you would stand there and let the other guy rush his shot and shoot at you. Because what happens then? He has to stand there and receive fire, and you could very carefully just aim at him, and he's got to stand there. He can't go running away. You can just take your time and do it. So when Hamilton wasted his shot, Burr then carefully aimed. and shot him. The bullet traveled into his stomach and lodged into his spine. His death was painful, but at least it took several hours to die. Hamilton's life was over, but so was Burr's political life. He was vice president, and he would never, ever hold office again. He basically had to flee, and as you guys will see after lunch, he gets involved in yet another scheme to possibly take away or to do some secession. By the way, no vice president ever shot another person while vice president ever again. Oh, except, in 2006, George Bush's vice president, Dick Cheney, was on a hunting trip down here in Texas. And it just so happened that they were hunting birds. I guess their guns were loaded, their shotguns were loaded with bird shot. And Cheney, in his excitement, pulled the gun, and when he saw some birds, he fired, not knowing that his friend was standing right there. Didn't kill the guy, but it did pepper his face with that. So I have a little newscast of that
13 years ago today, Vice President Dick Cheney shot his hunting buddy in the face. Look at that headline. Duck, it's Dick. Cheney was quail hunting with Harry Whittington in Texas when he accidentally fired his shotgun, not realizing it was pointed at Whittington. And needless to say, this was an embarrassing distraction for the White House. Cheney called it one of the worst days of his life. Thankfully, Whittington did recover.
And died relatively recently. So there you go. Now, the Federalists had lost their best leader, and pretty much, y'all, with the death of Hamilton, and then with the Federalists attempting to try to, or thinking about seceding during the War of 1812, the Federalist Party died out. And we'll briefly have basically a uni party, just one party, the so-called Democratic Republicans. Now, I've got some pictures here of Hamilton's grave. Before that, here's a commercial. See if y'all know the answer.
And that was the Vienna Wood Dance in B, one of my all-time favorites. And now let's make that random call with today's $10,000 one. Who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel? All right, let's go to the phones and see who's out there. Hello, for $10,000. Who shot? Excuse me? Excuse me?
Oh, hang on, let me take a look.
I'm afraid your time is almost up. I'm sorry, maybe next time. Got milk?
If only he'd had milk. So you saw that he had all the Hamilton memorabilia there, right? He had the bullet, he had the guns, he had the outfit and everything. So there you go. It's why you should always keep some milk around. Now, this is Hamilton's grave itself in New York City. It's just a few feet from Wall Street. It's in the cemetery there by Trinity Church. I always make a point to go there and talk to Hamilton, y'all. And you know what? Sometimes he talks back to me. So I'll leave you guys with this song here.
Let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was young and dreamed of glory. You have no control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
President Jefferson. I'll give him this. His financial system is a work of genius. I couldn't undo it if I tried. And I tried.
Who lives, who dies, who tells your story? President Madison.
He took our country from bankruptcy to prosperity. I hate to admit it, but he doesn't get enough credit for all the credit he gave us.
Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
Every other founding father story gets told. Every other founding father gets to grow old.
And when you're gone, who remembers your name? Who keeps your flame? Who tells your story? Who tells your story? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 things you need to know. Number 1. We rode across the Hudson at dawn. My friend William P. Van Ness signed on as my number 2. Hamilton arrived with his crew. Nathaniel Pendleton, the doctor. I watched Hamilton examine the terrain. I wish I could tell you what was happening in his brain. This man has poisoned my political pursuits.
Most disputes die and no one shoots. Number 4,
Hamilton's reversed position, looking to world like a man on a mission. This is a soldier with a march near you.
When I needed her most, she was right on time.
Now I
Still
didn't
not
notice
through. I ask myself what was
my
you doing?
son died, is that
More
why?
time.
Examine his
Lord, in His
guns.
kindness, He gives me what you always wanted. He gives me more time.
Confession
I
time
raise
is
funds
what
in
I got.
D.C.
My
for the
fellow
Washington
soldiers will tell you I'm a terrible shot.
I speak out against slavery. You could have done so much
They can
more
set the
if you
record
only
straight.
had time.
They won't
And
teach
when
you
my
this in your
time is up,
classes.
have I
Look it
done
up.
enough?
Hamilton was
Will they
wearing his
tell the
glasses.
story?
If not to take deadly aim, it's him or me. The world will never be the same. I had only one thought before the slaughter. This man will not make an orphan of my daughter.
Number 9.
Look him in the eye, aim no higher. Summon all the courage you require. Then count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 10. Faces fire.
In their eyes I see you, Alexander. I see you every time. And when my time is up, have I done enough? Will they tell your story? Oh, I can't wait to see you again.
My first friend,
It's
my enemy.
only a matter
Maybe the last face I ever see. If I throw away my shot, is this how you remember me? This book is my legacy. Legacy. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. I wrote some notes at the beginning of a song someone will sing for me. America, you great unfinished symphony you sent for me. You let me make a difference. A place where even orphan immigrants can leave their fingerprints and rise up. I'm running out of time, I'm running and my time's up. Wise up, eyes up. I catch a glimpse of the other side. Lawrence leads a soldier's chorus on the other side. My son is on the other side. He's with my mother on the other side. Washington is watching from the other side. Teach me how to say goodbye. Rise up, rise up, rise up, Eliza. My love, take your time. I'll see you on the other side. Raise a glass to freedom.
He aims his pistol at the sky. Wait! I strike him right between his ribs. I walk towards him, but I am ushered away. They row him back across the Hudson. I get a drink. I hear wailing in the streets. Somebody tells me you'd better hide. They say Angelica and Eliza were both at his side when he died. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes. History obliterates, and every picture it paints me in all my mistakes. When Alexander aimed at the sky, he may have been the first one to die, but I'm the one who paid for it. I survived, but I paid for it. Now I'm the villain in your history. I was too young and blind to see. I should have known the world was wide enough